I got myself a rant for you this time. This time it's underestimating and belittling and just kind of shortchanging liberal arts majors and students and graduates and all that. First of all, somebody brought up a good point to me at Fresno State when I was a student there. She said a liberal arts degree is just a degree whose name doesn't tell you what you can do with it. Well, in that case, all a person has to do is research what you can do with it, and if they're satisfied with it, it's their choice to major in it. But you always get people saying, I understand when they ask what you can do with it, but a lot of people assume all you could do with English majors and stuff like that is teach, and you won't make a living otherwise, and all that doodah. Well, let's see what else. There was also some of the other videos on YouTube. They try to make it up like they kind of almost make it up inadvertently or not. Like if you have a background in liberal arts such as English or math or anything like that. First of all, they drive me crazy because they imply that English isn't a written language, that it's just a spoken language. Big pet peeve for me. It's like, if they went to school, they ought to remember that in English, as well as on a lot of other classes, they had to write essays. And in English, you often had to write essays about other people's writing, which was, guess what? In English, even if it was translated. I mean, what language did you write in, at least speaking for us Americans, not to be culturally biased, but, if you major in English, you also learn about writing in English. It isn't like everything we read and everything we wrote, whether or not it was about what we read, in English class. It isn't like it was all in Sanskrit or pictographs or anything like that, for gosh sakes. So if you're so sure that any degree that isn't a technical degree is useless, just try Googling things, especially if you are a liberal arts major, because you really have to, because granted, by definition, it's not one of the most high-paying majors in the world, but just because it isn't directly related to some technical field doesn't mean that we're all incompetent, untrainable dummies. Some of us are masterminds, whether you like what kind of masterminds we are. So, all you have to do is, if you want to major in liberal studies or something like that, Google it, and if you're not satisfied with the real results, then by all means, don't bother with it. A lot of English majors, they change their major, and that's great. And someone told me, I want to major in something that I could do something with. Well, they didn't know what to do with an English degree. So I've heard PE majors and English majors saying that both their majors were only good for teaching, and so, so I mean, geez, we're not stupid or anything. And another thing is, people keep thinking that technology is just really killing English majors and liberal arts majors and this and that and the other thing. I was telling a friend of mine that, I saw some of these videos against Asian studies, women's studies, and I forget, I'm sure philosophy is a target too, but he said he didn't want to watch those videos because he didn't want to get discouraged, and I didn't blame him. But one of these videos even claimed, however, that you shouldn't even major in business, like that it's toxic and useless, because he assumed that you didn't have to, if you wanted to start a business, and I'm sure some people have, just like any other field, you just had to totally rely on common sense, and you didn't have to have any other skill, for gosh sakes. And I think there was recreation management or something, and this person knocked that, but I don't know what he knows about all that. Yeah, I understand accounting, and I think nursing and all that are such big things, but there's no point. What's really the point in telling somebody what to major in if you don't know what they can do with it, just because you're so sure they can't do anything with it. Some people say you can do anything with it, and then somebody told me he meant mopping floors. That fear of God junk. I'm glad I also majored, without a degree in it, radio and television, because one person understandably said, "Oh, that's two vastly different majors," and I disagreed. But what I meant was, they're just two flip sides of the same thing. They're both media. There's an old style medium and radio and television, and that was before new media became a thing. But I will leave some links in this description about, for jobs for some of these liberal arts type majors. So anyway, I think I've gotten it all out of my system. So this is George saying, just do your research, and until next time, see thee anon.